Good afternoon, punters, and welcome to another edition of Spruikers. We're talking AFL again today with Jake Norton.
We are.
Good afternoon, Jake.
How are you? Good afternoon to you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well.
Likewise. Thanks
Terrific.
for asking.
Haircut?
Yeah, I have had a haircut. My mate BJ cut my hair.
Looks good.
He's not a professional hairdresser, and he's done an absolutely magnificent job, in my opinion. Free haircut. So, and he's single too, ladies. So I'm sure he'd be very pleased to attempt ladies' hair removal as well. So if he's this adept at cutting men's hairs.
There's a shout out if ever I've heard one. It was a bit of a nightmare week for punters last round, and the bookies certainly got the cream. We've got a few other games here which will be interesting from a punting perspective. So, first one off the rank is Collingwood versus Hawthorn. Collingwood at $2.98 with Betfair punters. Hawthorn just under twos on at $1.48. Collingwood look a bit over for mine, but they haven't been in terrific form, have they?
No, I guess you could probably say the same about the Hawks, coming off a couple of losses. They were fairly admirable against the Cats last week, but Collingwood have got a fairly good recent record against the Hawks Tags. They've won, I think, 4 out of the last 5, including most of those have been by sort of 7 goals or more. So they play well against the Hawks, and
except for their last one, they got belted, didn't they?
They may have, yeah. I think you're right about that. But yeah, I mean, but just that price, $2.98, I think that's overs. I think that's probably a good opportunity to trade there at the very least, and Hawthorn maybe a fraction too short at twos on.
Yeah, Hawthorn looks safe to finish in the top 4, or maybe even the top 2.
Yeah.
And Collingwood certainly need to get this one back.
And they play well against the better sides, as we know. Well, that's the sort of reputation they've developed of late.
Kangaroos, Brisbane on the Gold Coast as well. Kangaroos $2.18, Brisbane $1.80. Brisbane have been in pretty bad form recently, and they've only got over West Coast in their last 4, I think.
Yeah, 3 of those games have been in Melbourne, and to be honest, they've been against inferior opposition on paper, Essendon, Melbourne and Richmond. So it's very difficult to tip the lines here, and I can't really understand why they're so short. 180, that's a prohibitive price, I think. I think the Kangas at 218 is a fair piece of value there.
218 does look pretty good value, and they've snuck their way into the 8, and they could be just creeping up on fourth place. You never know.
I have to say I disagree with where layers have gone with that price tags.
There you go. Bulldogs versus Sydney. Bulldogs $1.56, Sydney $2.74. Bulldogs have dropped their last 2 and have run out of gas in the last half, and Sydney by no means have impressed, have they?
No, well, they sort of did impress a couple of weeks ago, but I know you were all over them last week, and they were trounced by Adelaide at home. That said, the Doggies have been inconsistent.
This one's at Manuka?
It is at Manuka, so I was just about to bring that up, and Sydney did away with the Doggies easily at Manuka last year when the Doggies were actually in form at around 8 or 9. So Sydney play well at Manuka. The Dogs, I'm not so sure I can say the same about them. So I think this is another one where punters are perhaps a little off. Bulldogs too short, Sydney good value at $2.74.
Bulldogs $1.56, Sydney $2.74. The premiership market took a little bit of a twist on Friday night and the weekend following. Hawthorn were the ones who really firmed in the market.
Yeah.
It seemed to me that punters decided that they had now made up their minds it was going to be between Hawthorn and Geelong.
Yeah.
The Dogs eased a little bit. It now is Geelong $1.80, Hawthorn $5.60 in from $7.40. The Bulldogs now to $9.60, and the rest of the challengers really drifted away.
Yeah, that's right. The Hawks obviously disappointed last week. They didn't get to play Geelong with their full complement tags.
You're teeing me up here, aren't you?
I am, absolutely tee off, son.
Well, they didn't have a number of their players, and Melbourne pulled out a bit late, but we saw Terry Wallace in the paper today say that they are very, very happy they're playing an Ablett-less Geelong, or they certainly hope so anyway, and quite rightly too. Why would you want to play him with it?
Makes absolutely no sense to me, and I know it doesn't make any sense to you as well.
No, I just don't like how the players pull that. We want to play them at their best because we want to see where we are.
Utter garbage.
Yeah, garbage. Brownlow betting, Ablett still the firm favourite, $2.70. He's been slightly on the drift since he's been sitting out with injury. Bartell's been the big mover, $7 now, $41 2 weeks ago, and there's been a bit of money for Judd, who's had probably. He could well have had 2 or 3 best on grounds early on, and then perhaps 2 recently.
Yeah, well, we know he polls, and whenever Carlton win, and if he gets 30 touches, then he's going to be a fair chance to get 2 or 3 votes. So I guess it's the same for Bartell, who is currently $7. You know he polls well. Geelong are playing well. He's playing particularly well. So I think both of those blokes are quite good value.